Crawford could beat him, because Crawford is a big 147 fighter and is strong as well, which a lot of people don't give him the credit for. I think that fight, if it does happen, as long as Crawford stays away and just boxes and be smart, he can win that fight. I think Crawford's a better fighter than Charlo, and he's a smart fighter as well. He switches and everything, so that would be a very good fight.
Again, we have a lot of disadvantage in this fight as far as the weight, as far as, would you say, power, and a lot of things that's on par as far as the accomplishments, as far as the skill set, and different things of that nature, but we will climb that mountain.
But it's different when you're facing Canelo Alvarez up there, you know, not just at 168, but on the night, probably 180, 185. You know, it's going to be a big task.
The exhilarating matchup that has gripped everyone from the beginning is confirmed. Both Canelo and Bud Crawford are gearing up to wage war. Meanwhile, looking at the rather elusive history of the fight negotiations and all that has been going on behind closed doors, the recent announcement regarding the fight date came as a surprise to many people in the industry, who soon enough started to question the authenticity of such claims. Noticing this air of skepticism surrounding this new development, recently people from Terence's camp have chosen to step forward in order to clear the air regarding any doubt that the fans might be having. Bernie the Boxer, who is a fundamental part of Team Crawford and has all the inside scoop regarding what might be going on behind the scenes, made a shocking revelation regarding this fight, emphasizing that the fight is now finalized for 13th of September and that the fans should get ready to witness greatness in the making.
It's on, baby. September 13, baby. Look forward to it. Crawford versus Canelo. Listen how I said it.
Are we getting this confirmation here first?
You understand? Yeah, it's confirmed. Man, what?
Say less.
Crawford versus Canelo, not the other way around. Team Crawford, stand up, pound for pound, the best in the world, soon to be the super middleweight champion of the world. Yeah.
Elated at finally getting this chance to fight one of the best contenders in the world, Bernie highlighted the significance of this fight for Terence and his legacy. According to the close ally, although the fighter is himself a household name in the sport, it was always his desire to fight one of the elites in any weight division, as this will provide him with an opportunity to showcase his unprecedented skills. Revealing many prominent names that were considered at first, including Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, Barney stated that despite continuous efforts, all these fighters either outright refused to fight Crawford or ducked him in fear of damaging their own legacy.
What more can you ask for? This is a fight. We didn't get the Pacquiao fight. Obviously, you know, Mayweather or any of that caliber, so this is the fight. It might be a little bit, the guy's bigger, he has a lot of experience, he's young. Canelo, he 35, 34, something like that. Nothing ever come easy to us. Like I say, we didn't get a Pacquiao, but a guy who's more of our size, with the global impact that he had, they made sure they stayed away from him. So,
further elaborating his views on this bout, Bernie came out in full defense of this fight, stating that even though they understand the general skepticism that many people might have for this pairing, considering the stark differences between both the fighters, especially the weight and power disparity that seems to heavily favor the Mexican fighter, one thing that no one can deny is the fact that Terence has never shied away from any challenges throughout his professional career, no matter how imposing or intimidating they might be, and this time this fight with Canelo Alvarez is no different, because even though Canelo is a sensational fighter who is the best boxer of this era, Terence is going to step inside the ring against him and will make sure that he not only comes out victorious, but also cements an unforgettable legacy for himself.
Yeah, we take on tough challenges and we beat them. So they give us Canelo Alvarez, a hard puncher, IQ of just the same caliber, and a legend, a great in his time. And it is what it is, you know. So that's the type of challenge that Crawford looked for, and it was only right. He deserved this challenge to be on this big stage in a mega fight, in a super fight, in what we call like a David versus Goliath battle. Again, we have a lot of disadvantage in this fight as far as the weight, as far as, would you say, power, and a lot of things that's on par as far as the accomplishments, as far as the skill set, and different things of that nature, but we will climb that mountain.
While addressing all the people and supposed experts who tend to undermine Terence's abilities and skills going into this fight, Bernie stated that these claims are nothing but ludicrous and disrespectful, because after everything that the fighter has achieved so far in his professional career, since his first fight for people to come out and disregard him so blatantly, goes on to show the utter foolishness and biases of the general public. Listing all the prominent feats that the American fighter has accomplished in his extravagant career, Bernie stated that it is nothing short of marvelous that Bud has been able to get to this position that was once considered unheard of by many in the community, and this is only possible due to his relentless efforts and sheer determination from day one.
Why? Why would he need to do that and all he's accomplished and all he's shown in the ring? Why would he do that? You know what I'm saying? The things he done hardly been done before. You know, 2-time undisputed, unified champion in 3 weights. 3 weights. You understand that? 3 weights. So 4 weights, but 3 unified in 3. 35, we was the Ring Magazine, WBO.
40 undisputed,
40 we
47.
was undisputed, 47 undisputed. So unified champion in 3 weights. You know, 4-division world champion. Been on the pound-for-pound list for the better of 10 years.
However, not everyone seems to be rather enthusiastic or sure about the idea of this fight, because based on his most recent interviews during the Pacheco and Nelson press conference, renowned promoter Eddie Hearn stated that he is not exactly sure about this fight, based on how no finalized dates have been announced yet by either side, which raises some questions in everyone's minds. The thing that Eddie did reveal is that prior to the recent revelations, His Excellency Turki Alalshik has been making countless efforts to orchestrate various money-making fights based on how, since last week, he has met almost everyone in the industry to get an in-depth analysis of what he should be focusing on in this year. So there is a huge possibility that such a high-demand fight might materialize based only on the level of interest that the Pubic seems to have in it.
Did you offer any information
I
there?
don't know. I mean, obviously, His Excellency was on the rampage over the last 7 days, just speaking to everyone and, you know, putting plans together for lots of different fighters. Obviously, not all of those fights end up materialising, but he's got a very good success rate. So you'd have to think that there's a very good chance that fight's going to happen.
Eddie also touched upon the fact that many people might be taking this fight a little too seriously, thinking that this will be a great battle that will decide the trajectory either fighter's career will take in the future. Not sharing the same sentiments as a seemingly vast majority, Eddie stated that at the end of the day, this is nothing but a freak fight orchestrated solely for the purpose of generating insane amounts of money, because everyone involved in this knows that the added hype will result in a more lucrative deal. Further divulging his reasoning for his opinions, Eddie emphasized that there is little to no chance that Terence will ever fight at 168 ever again in his career, because after looking at his most recent performance against Madrimov, it is quite evident that he is not the greatest fighter at the bigger weight, and that there is a very slight chance that he might adapt to this significant jump from his initial 135 or even 147, advising the fighter to either stay at his current weight or to take things more slowly. Eddie added that even though nothing is really going to damage Terence's career at this point, it is still better if he proceeds with caution, because he will be facing quite a challenge up ahead.
But it's different when you're facing Canelo Alvarez up there, you know, not just at 168, but on the night, probably 180, 185. You know, it's going to be a big task because it's a freak fight, isn't it? You know, it's not his career is not heading to 168 pounds. It's a one-off freak fight for a lot of money. That's what it is. And, you know, after that fight, he's going to probably move back down to 154. Don't forget, I believe that physically he struggled a little bit against Madrimov. I mean, he struggled because Madrimov's a good fighter as well, but he's not really a big 154 pounder. And don't forget, he came up from 47, and before that he was at 40, and before that he was at 35.
During this interview, another rather distinct factor that Eddie highlighted was that the continuous criticism that has been directed towards Canelo for making his judgments regarding Terence is bizarre, because in a combat sport like this, every fighter has a right to make their own comments where they can evaluate an adversary based on their past credentials, which, although Terence seems to have plenty of looking at his fights at the 140 or 147 pound division, there was not anything extravagant about him during that stage which might have led to Canelo thinking that this will be quite an easy fight for him and will not give him the prominence that he so yearns.
I mean, you can always criticize resumes, can't you? Like, you can say, well, this fighter at that time actually wasn't in his prime and that kind of stuff. The reality is that he's a four division world champion. He's undisputed at 40 and 47. I think his 140 pound wins probably weren't as strong as, you know, I mean, he beat everybody he had to. You know, the Errol Spence victory was obviously, but then moving to 54, Madrimov's a very good fighter as well, you know, but...
Regardless of all these reservations that he might have for this pairing of fighters, Eddie still appreciates the idea of this fight, stating that although this fight might not be the dream matchup for much hardcore boxing, deep down there is a certain curiosity surrounding this bout and who will win, based on how it is not. Every day that two of the best fighters in a generation go head-to-head in a fierce battle to decide who is the better fighter out of them two, especially considering how one of them is making a huge leap from his usual weight to his contender's domain in order to cement his legacy, which in itself is a highly commendable fact. Labeling Terence as an all-time generational great in case he is able to secure a victory against Canelo, Eddie stated that if the American fighter manages to triumph on fight night, there is no doubt that he will dethrone the Mexican and will be crowned as the next king of boxing.
I think it's a very intriguing fight, two generational greats. You know, to move from 135 to 168 and win the unified world titles, I mean, that would go down as one of the great victories of all time. But you know, Bud, he's up for the challenge.
Moving on, with all this talk regarding the fight and the potential matchup between the fighters and how out of touch it might seem to many people, another crucial aspect that is being raised by everyone is the way that this deal will possibly be negotiated, because after the last couple of months, it is evident that Canelo Alvarez will always choose his own path, no matter who stands as a hurdle in his path or who really wants to facilitate him on his endeavors. Being a notable promoter in the business and being aware of everything that transpires behind the scenes in this combat sport, Eddie revealed that there is a chance that Canelo might decide to part ways with PBC in order to work on the Crawford deal with Turkey as an independent party, rather than being shackled by all the regulations that might be imposed on him if he continues to work along with various promoting companies, even like Matchroom.
The mandatory is not yet due, but if he sits there for another 6 months and gets 1 or 2 more wins, he's going to be mandatory for Canelo Alvarez, and that could be a huge fight.
How do you see the fight going in terms of things that Pacheco will have to deal with from Steve Nelson?
I think Nelson's IQ is very, very high, and I think being in that gym with Bud and Bomac and those kind of guys, they're technically very good. I think it's going to be a very cagey, tough fight in the opening few rounds, but I think Pacheco is punching very, very hard at the moment. I think his shot selection is very good.
Keeping all these factors in mind, Eddie believes that there is no doubt that this fight came to be due to the tremendous efforts of His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, who wants to give the fans everything that they have always wanted but never got. However, sharing his views on the potential location for this fight, Eddie stated that although many people might think that this event will be in the Saudi arena, there is a huge possibility that His Excellency might bring the Riyadh card to America this time around, not only due to the fact that the majority of the audience of this bout will be from the west side of the world, namely the United States, but also because there is an issue regarding the pay-per-view legislations that they have to follow here at US, which might cause some issues if they try to take this fight to foreign lands.
You know, I've had him since he was 17 years of age. It's 5 years, and he's 22-0 now, and he's headlined in Mexico, he's headlined in Los Angeles, now he's headlining in Las Vegas. We're building him really well, but he's still a young man. And I think beyond Steve Nelson, there's definitely one more level to go before you fight Canelo Alvarez. There might be 2 more. So we just got to get it right with him. But everything that I'm seeing, and I love the way he came out of himself today at the presser. You don't really see that from Diego.
Shifting his focus to the other side of things, during his promotion of the fight between his fighter Pacheco and Nelson, Eddie Hearn engaged in fun banter with Bud Crawford, where he seemingly asked the refined boxer to take on other challengers, like his own fighter at the 168 weight division, before he goes on to fight Canelo, because no matter how much he thinks that he will manage to get the upper hand, he is going to fight an elite who cannot be taken down as easily as he might think. However, choosing not to focus on these remarks from Eddie and only making an appearance for the sake of his fellow fighter Nelson, Terence maintained a jovial attitude, stating that he has his eyes set on the prize and that he does not have the time nor the patience left to take on anyone other than big names like Canelo.
I said, he asked me if I'm promoting Crawford Kill. I said, I'm not involved in that.
Pacheco! Oh man, hey, listen, Eddie. I might have to Yeah. Don't make me come up.
See, the thing is, yeah, if you're gonna go up to 168 pounds, this is the kind. You know what I mean? This is. I mean, you look about 180 pounds already.
He gonna be coming for me.
You
I'm
think
not
so?
gonna be
Yeah.
looking
Why
for
is he
him.
gonna beat your man?
Huh?
Man, we gonna stop him.
Yeah.
Man, we gonna stop him.
There you go. There you go.
Where you come from? Where you come from?
Keeping up with this optimistic attitude, especially after all the reports about this fight getting finalized, Terence Crawford has started his training in hopes of getting an edge over the overly advantaged Canelo. Bud, who is well known for his ability to fight any style of fighter based on his immense boxing IQ and immaculate skills, will be training for very specific purposes now, which according to countless alleged reports leaked to the media will revolve around getting more powerful and making sure that he does not get in the way of the power shots of Canelo, because if he gets hit by a single hook or jab thrown his way, there is a huge chance that he might not recover from it throughout the bout, no matter how much time he might have labored away at the camp. After looking at all the takes that have been shared by the fighters and their team members, along with the renowned personalities in the game, many fighters have also come forward to share their views regarding the confirmation of the bout, and this extensive list comprises some of the most notable adversaries that the fighters have faced before in their careers. Amir Khan, who's a former British legendary boxer, and someone who took on Canelo during his early prime days, seems to think that this fight will be quite entertaining to watch. Not only for the fans who have been yearning for this, but also for everyone in the community, because it will ultimately decide who is the better fighter is these two. Sharing his statistical analysis on who he thinks might win this fight, Amir stated that even though Canelo is a tremendous fighter capable of taking anyone down with a single punch, Crawford is a wonderful boxer who has this unprecedented ability to adapt to any sort of circumstances that he might face inside the ring. Commending the fighter for all that he has achieved in his career, Amir added that even though Terence is a wonderful fighter with exceptional power and strength, many people tend to undermine him and think that he stands no chance against the heavy fighter who might be far from reality, because he is a much better fighter than many boxers that Canelo has faced before, and if he maintains his guard and remains vigilant, then there is a huge possibility that he might win this fight altogether.
I think that Crawford could beat him, because Crawford is a big 147 fighter and is strong as well, which a lot of people don't give him the credit for. I think that fight, if it does happen, as long as Crawford stays away and just boxes and be smart, he can win that fight. I think Crawford's a better fighter than Charlo, and he's a smart fighter as well. He switches and everything, so that would be a very good fight.
On the other hand, while talking about all these A-listers who supposedly ducked Terebse but chose to fight with Canelo instead, Floyd Mayweather is someone who always comes in kind, especially after the points that were raised by Bernie. According to the latest news revealed by none other than the prominent social media boxing reporter Blue Blood Sports, unlike Amir, Floyd might not have optimistic thoughts regarding this fight based on his own personal prejudice, because at the end of the day, he wants the community to remember his fight with Canelo as the greatest fight of this era.
I would say that Floyd Mayweather would say, the obvious, they both hell of a fighters. It's going to be a tough task, right? But if Terence Crawford lost, deep down would he rejoice? I'm pretty sure he would, right? Because that speaks volumes to what he was able to do, right? With no quote unquote asterisk by it. Would essentially hate on the situation. Reason being is because the fact that he don't want anybody to surpass his accomplishments.
Further elaborating on this rather distinct and unique take, Blue highlighted the fact that even though Floyd is celebrated as one of the best talents in the sport of boxing, he still seems to have this jealousy for any new fighter that might be able to surpass him, which in this case seems to be Terence Crawford. Adding on to this argument, Blue emphasized that based on the personal states of the fighters, there is no doubt that both Floyd and Terence share some similarities when it comes to their physiques and arm reach. But in the case of their skills and how far they have come to achieve their respective goal, it looks looks as if Terence might have an edge over the veteran fighter, especially if he manages to win this upcoming fight. Along with individual performances, Lou also compared the versions of Canelo that both these fighters have faced or will be facing, stating that the version that went against Floyd was much younger and was still learning in the sport, whereas the version that will be up against Hearn is much more seasoned in the A, that he has not only gotten much more stringer, but he also seems to have this profound knowledge of the sport, which only makes him an even more dangerous opponent than he ever was.
Unified champion and has successfully defended his titles 5 times. Now, he was 23 years of age. Today, he's 35 years of age, right? So he's significantly older. He's more seasoned, and he's been in a lot bigger fights, right? So he's definitely a different fighter.
So in the end, what are your thoughts on this fight? Do you think that the date announced by countless sources might be true? Or do you think that this fight is once again bound for failure? Make sure to tell us about your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to our channel.